How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to spend a little time discussing the Mahindra Max 26 XLT and why I chose this over the 1626 series tractor. Stick around and we'll check it out right after this. In this video, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Max 26 XLT hydrostat version and why I chose it over the 1626 hydrostat version. So in all fairness, when I started this venture of finding a tractor for the property, there was a few things I had in mind. We take care of just over 1.5 acres of property in a rural setting with some trees and a lot of open space. My main intentions were doing a few different things. One, having a tiller so I could till the garden. 2, being able to push snow and maintain my driveway. I've mentioned before in some of my other videos that I have around 250-ish feet of gravel to take care of. Not a significant amount, but a snowblower just wasn't cutting it when we get 6, 8, 10 inches of snow here in eastern Iowa. Doesn't always happen that way, but all I know is that when it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock at night and it's dark outside, I sure struggle to get things done, especially when we get those heavy wet snows. So when I started this journey, I looked at many different things, and we're not going to go through the different tractor brands at this point, but once I chose Mahindra and at the dealership, I actually started looking at the Max 20. I'm like, oh, this is great. It's just enough tractor for me. After talking with the dealer and salesman and going through all that, we determined that maybe wasn't the best fit for our property and that I should go a different route. So then came up the discussions of looking at these different tractors. I first drove the Max 26 XLT, and it was a great tractor. I really enjoyed it. But then I saw that next to it was the 1626 series. I'm like, well, I need to give that a go too to see what it's like. Initial impressions on both tractors, I thought they were both really, really nice units. And I want to make this clear. This tractor is not to bash the 1626. It's not to say the Max is better, but it's just simply to say that I chose the Max 26. The 1626 is a great tractor. It's another Mitsubishi built tractor that Mahindra sells, and it was great. But I want to make sure to mention here that I chose the Max 26 specifically for some of these reasons. So the main reason I chose the Max 26 XLT is maneuverability. As far as the size is concerned, it is around a foot, almost a foot shorter than the 1626, and it is about 9 inches narrower than the 1626. And just so people aren't out here fact checking me, all of these numbers are coming from the brochure that you get from the dealer when comparing tractors. So unless they're publishing things incorrectly, the numbers I give you should be correct. And on the maneuverability note, it does have a smaller turning radius. It's a 7.2 turning radius versus the 7.9 of the 1626. Doesn't seem significant, but when you're out driving and test driving these, keep in mind and look at that, because I noticed a difference. It seemed to not want to turn as quick, whether those numbers are specific or not, or exactly right on. It definitely acts different when you're turning. Obviously, I had it in two-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive, and the four-wheel drive impedes that turning radius quite a bit. It's kind of hard to see it, but on the inside here, where the tire tracks are at, it's not leaving much for tracks. But you'll see here, comparison to the tractor, it's not very much. It's got. So it looks like they're right on spec. So if you measure the inside of that circle that we did with the tire tracks, it comes out here to right about at just a hair over 7 feet. You'll see here when I was going through those trees, there's right about 10 foot in between those trees. And with the loader out front, you lose a lot of turning radius as far as, swinging your front boom out in front. So it was nice to see, when I'm going through my trees around my LP tank and kind of navigating down my property line, I've got plenty of space. If I had the larger tractor, I wouldn't be able to fit down there. So another reason I chose the XLT over the 1626 is weight. Yes, weight is important, but not all cases. Yes, with more weight, you're gonna be able to pull more, lift more, and do more. But when I'm driving around on my soft property, when it's not the middle of August and the ground's so dry that it's like concrete, I don't want to sink in. Like I said, a lot of my stuff, it's all nice grass, and I do not want to have ruts in the yard. I do not have intentions of having any mid-mount mowers or such, not mowing with the tractor, but I do use the pallet forks on a regular basis, and I drive through the yard to move things around. So that was an important one for me. Not to mention on the weight side of things, the 1626 weighs around 3,200 pounds with the loader on the tractor. And I'm guessing many of you out there are looking to get a compact tractor and are wanting the loader. So the dry weight of the tractor only means so much, right? Because you're going to be using the loader as one of the main tools of the tractor. This compares to the Max 26, which is around 2,600 pounds with the loader. Doesn't seem like a lot, around the 630 pound difference. It does make a difference when you're driving around in the yard. The 1626 does have larger tires, but at the end of the day, weight is still weight. Another reason I didn't choose the 1626 is the dealer gave me some feedback that they had some clients complain about the larger frame chassis with the same 26 horsepower engine. Makes sense. Yes, there is a third range in the hydrostat on the 1626, but that does not necessarily mean that it's going to work perfect. Like I said, the extra 600 plus pounds is still being brought on with that 26 horse engine, and may cause problems on some of the things you're wanting to do. You may have to use a different gear we may not intend to do. I think the general consensus in the group I'm in is that the 1626 has more than enough power. So as far as, what that's compared to, I'm not sure. But I would say in my case, the dealer would have recommended me to get the 1632, which is the little bit larger engine, if I was going to go that route. Keep in mind, I know there were a lot of people on the fence with this situation. It's not just because of the tractor's capabilities, right? The capabilities of the two tractors really isn't a whole lot different. The lifting was within a couple 100 pounds of one another, of the front loader that is, and then the 3-point really isn't too much different, a couple, 300-400 pounds. Which does make a difference, right? But the reason why people are considering this the most is they get that dollar sign waved in front of their face and say, hey, for $1,500 or $2,000, you can upgrade to this larger tractor. Here again, not all for all people. In my instance, the maneuverability was important to me, and having a shorter turning radius and the smaller frame tractor sure makes it easier getting around trees, in between trees, around my LP tank, and maneuvering around the property. There's been a couple instances if I would have had the larger frame, I would have been in trouble and not be able to get where I needed to go. So it's good for my purposes. Now, if I had maybe, 4 or 5, 6 acres more, and I had more, of a different setup I was trying to do, then yeah, that'd be something I would look at. But with my close proximity and maneuverability is important. Like I mentioned before, one of the main purposes of this tractor was going to be running a tiller in the back or any other 3-point implements that may require the PTO. Oddly enough, it must be having to do with how the transmission is set up in the gearing, but the Max 26 has 20.2 horsepower and the 1626 has 19 horsepower. So the Max actually carries about 1.2 horse more than the 1626 does, which doesn't sound like a lot, but a horsepower is a horsepower. I mean, when you're talking about, cutting hairs here. It may be a difference between an implement working and it may not, or being able to run a 5-foot tiller at full depth like I do and not have issues. Here again, I don't have the 1626 to compare to, but I can just imagine, there is some limitations there. Giving up an extra horsepower in the rear end was something I really didn't want to do if I didn't have to. I guess the big picture is this. I chose the Max 26 over the 1626 because it's more maneuverable, weighs less, and can almost lift and move as much as the 1626 can. Plus or minus a couple hundred pounds. Yes, I do lose the third range in the hydrostat. So far I haven't had an issue with that. If I haven't been able to do it in low gear, then I've been running out of horsepower. The engine bogs down. If I couldn't do it in high gear, which is mostly transport, then it's one of those things that I haven't had an issue. Maybe the mid-range would be nice for some of the less cumbersome or heavy duty loader work. And as far as the power is concerned, it's really harnessing as much as it can and putting it to the PTO, which is what's important to me. Burying that 5-foot tiller to full depth and pulling it, I've had nothing but luck with that. So it's been the champ, and the tractor just keeps chewing, going away. Just one last plug on this topic when we're talking the Max 26 versus the 1626. Talk with your dealer, see what they think best fits your needs. Here again, $1,500. It sounds ish between $1,500 and $2,000. Sounds like you can get upgrade to the larger size chassis. Here again, I mentioned the engine is the same horsepower, and some people are having displeasures with having the same horsepower and a bigger frame with the added weight. Here again, I've heard people say the opposite, says it works just fine, but I think it depends on your application. Talk with your dealer. If you have a good dealer, they will be good at getting you fitted with the right size tractor. I started with wanting the Max 20, ended up with the Max 26 XLT. Overkill? I wouldn't say so. I really enjoy having the higher lift capacity when I'm unloading stuff from the trailer, and I probably would not be very happy if I went with the smaller tractor in that regard. Another thing I want to mention is people keep saying that the Max 26 series and the Max series in general is considered a subcompact tractor. According to their pamphlet that Mahindra gives out, it's a compact tractor. The Max series, the 1600 series, 2600 series, and 3600 series. Take a look at this. It's a handy little thing to look at. I believe it's on their site as well, if you want to look at it. But it kind of covers the stuff here with each different model and the different benefits you get from it. I mentioned before the stats of these two tractors between the 1626 and the Max 26 are very similar. You'll see that in more detail in here. I said plus or minus a couple hundred pounds on the big lifting specifications there on the loader and the 3-point. Other than that, the 3-point or the third range and the hydrostat is something else you'll see. And then obviously when you're going a little bit bigger size, you can get a little more lift height out of your bucket. And the bucket is going to be a little bit larger, and it's to match the width of the tractor, because the XLT comes with a 54-inch bucket, and the 16 series comes with the 62-inch bucket. You also noticed when I was turning in a circle, we actually just got rain today. It was a couple tenths of an inch. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make the ground wet. It didn't tear the grass up. I'm sure the 1626 would be very similar in performance, but you do have a little added weight there, so it's something that you're gonna maybe see. You might see a little more tearing up of the ground or compaction. So just something to think of there. Obviously, the industrial tires help out with that. It's the cut between the agricultural tires and the turf tires. So it really it kind of gives you the benefit of both. But here again, maybe if you're only using turf-based stuff, mowing a lot, maybe you will only want to go with the turf tires, because turf tires are meant for the turf. Weird. Just something to think about. I just knew I would be doing a little bit more than driving on grass, and I wanted the additional traction. And I'm going to say this one last time, because I know I'm going to get sloughed for it. This is not to diss the 1626 series tractor. From my understanding, it's a phenomenal tractor. I got to drive one around for a little bit, dig in some dirt with it. It is a good tractor. So to kind of summarize my thinking decision of what took me to buy this tractor, even if someone were to give me the free upgrade, I don't think I would have bought it at the time, because like I've mentioned before, the maneuverability and size of this tractor is what sold me. It does have very similar capacities, and that's, you know, a bit is a plus. But in the end of the day, getting around in tight spaces without tearing up my yard is what I was looking for. Plus, garage space is a premium. I built a new garage. It's already full of crap. It's funny how that works. Hope you guys find this beneficial. Maybe it helps you make a better decision when you're looking at your tractors and such, if you are considering Mahindra. I know a lot of people will tell you to go with the 1626 just because it's a bigger tractor. Doesn't mean it's always the right case. My situation, it wasn't. And I don't regret my decision. So, until next time, if you guys got questions, put down in the comment section below here. I'll see if I can answer them for you. I've got around 65 hours in this thing, so I've had a pretty decent amount of seat time here in the first few months I've had it. And so far it's been great. So I appreciate all you watching. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Hit that little bell. So every time I post a video, you get notified. Share this with your friends. Maybe they want a Mahindra too. I mean, why wouldn't you? So until next time, I'll see you guys.